There and welcome. Today we are going to become kitchen scientists and we are going to play around with something you probably do every single day without even thinking about it. We are talking about solubility. So let's dive right in. You ever wondered why a spoonful of sugar just disappears when you mix it in your coffee, or you mix sugar in your milk and it just disappear, right? Why does this happen? So this is the reason for a solubility. So let's start with three experiments what we are going to today. The very first experiment is turning up the heat. We have to know the effect of temperature. So let's go. Okay, what we will do in this experiment, we will take two beakers. In first beaker you will be having cold water and in second beaker you will be having hot water. I'll be adding sugar in both of them and see how much sugar I can dissolve. In first bottle, so step one, I'll pour a cold water into the beaker and then I'll add how many spoons of sugar I can dissolve in this cold water. So, and I will count those spoons, how many sugars I have dissolved here, how many spoons I have dissolved here, as well as I will keep on adding the sugar in the hot water with the help of spoon, and I'll see how many spoons I can add into the hot water. So what are the result for this? When you'll observe that in cold water, if you keep on adding the sugar, some of the sugar remains, and in cold water you can dissolve less spoons of sugar. But in hot water, as you can see in the graph, you can dissolve much more spoons. Like in cold water, you'll observe that you can only dissolve 2 spoons of sugar, but in hot water you are even able to dissolve 6 or 8 spoons of sugar. So what is the conclusion of this? It is that increasing temperature increase the solubility. Why? Because we are heating the other one, and this heats what it takes. It increases the gap between the molecules and more of your sugar is able to dissolve. So this was the first experiment, the effect of temperature. The second experiment is we'll be studying how much, is there any limit how much I can dissolve the sugar. So let's see. In this experiment, I am taking a test tube or a beaker. In this, I'll be adding salt, right? I'll keep on adding the salt until and unless there is some salt left over, even if I increase the temperature, and it starts to settle down in the water. So first step, I'll add salt and I'll stir. I'll keep on adding the salt until and unless no more salt dissolved, and I will observe the salt that is settling at the bottom. So as you can see, I will keep on stirring it and I'll observe the salt which is settled at the bottom. Okay, so when this type of condition happens, we call it as saturated solution. A saturated solution is a solution where no more solute can be dissolved in the solvent and it is totally full. Okay, now we come to the third step, which is not third step, but it is the third experiment. In this experiment, I'll be choosing different liquid. Remember, right? So in one beaker, I have chosen water, and in another beaker, I have chosen a oil. And I'll see that our water and oil are acting as the same if I have the same solute. So did you ever observe that sugar dissolved in cooking oil as well as it in water also? No. Let's see with the help of experiments also. I'll add sugar in one beaker which was there with the water, and I'll sugar in another beaker which was there with the oil, right? So I'll see that the one which had water, sugar got dissolved in it, but the one which had oil, sugar remains in it. So what is the conclusion we can draw? It depends on our solvent also. Which solvent I have taken, you must have studied in your chapter that there are like solvents which dissolve like substance, right? Like water can only dissolve, but there are unlike solvents which will not dissolve it. So this was a third experiment, right? So let's just recap of what all things did we studied. First one, that heat matters in our solubility. Second one is that salt, second one is the saturated solution, that it's not like that, there is a limit, and this limit is called as saturated limit, and the solution in their limit is called a saturated solution. And in the third one, we saw that it also depends on solvent also. Water can dissolve something, but oil, same thing, cannot dissolve. Thank you, right? So I will say that these are all the experiments. What about the gases in your soda, right? Isn't it dissolved in liquid also? Comment me about what you think of what your cold drinks are and how they are, how the things are dissolved in it. Thank you.